Hey, hey, hey! So, one of your goals for this week is to get your outline finished and moved into a paper and to begin developing the different sections of that outline into large sections of your paper by Monday. I also want to point out a lot of these sections will require multiple paragraphs. So we have here the basic structure problem solution essay. Once you get this all filled out, and the more specifically you have this filled out, the better. So for example, in the effects, paper section 3, prove this problem is a problem. What are the effects and consequences of this problem? I would really recommend not just saying something very vague like the effects on people, right? That's pretty vague. Instead, I would try to do something a lot more specific. So like effects on mental health, depression, and then maybe you're going to have a paragraph on effects on mental health, like anxiety, right? So these would be really specific. And the more specific your outline is filled out, the easier it's going to be to convert that outline into a paper. So here's what I recommend that you do to turn this outline into a paper. I would honestly like take each of these sections and maybe just copy and paste them like literally into a doc. And then that will give you that outline structure. And then you can fill in underneath each of these. So, you won't keep these like this, obviously, in your paper, but you can start, maybe even bring what's on your outline. Oops, here we go. Bring this stuff, copy and paste what you have here, and then paste it under here, and then start developing your paragraphs that go here. Bring your thesis, paste it in here. On the section detailing the causes, factors, or roots of the problem, have a couple, maybe you're going to have four causes. There are 4 contributing factors to this problem. Prove it's actually a problem. Maybe you want to talk about how this impacts the environment, how it impacts people, how it impacts a particular species, right? So outline each of those key things in there. And then begin filling it in. So I want you to start in just one of these major sections. And in fact, it's probably going to be section 1, 2, or 3 because you may be a person who likes to start with the intro. You may have enough research now to start with the causes. And this is actually where I recommend you start, is a paragraph, a page, a couple paragraphs about what is causing this problem. And I'd like for you to choose either section 2 or section 3 to be sort of like the first section you begin to develop. And then section 3, of course, is the effects of the problem, or what makes this a problematic problem. Like, why is this hurting? Who is this hurting? What is this hurting? Again, this is not just going to be one paragraph. That would be a very surface level paper. You're going to go into lots and lots of depth on all the different ways this problem is impacting the particular, thing that you're talking about. So you're going to have at least a couple paragraphs here and up to several. This section of your paper, the effects section, could be like 3 pages if you're really going into depth and detail. So I'm going to ask for you, as you're beginning your paper, maybe start with the intro if you're ready for that. Or after that, either start with the causes section or the effects section and just begin to develop that section. Now, you may find too that it's helpful to you in your paper, it's helpful to your paper or to the audience of your paper to keep headings in your paper. So sometimes long papers like this do have headings. So I want you to take a look at the example papers that I've posted along with this lesson. And I'm pulling up the one here that says with headings. So this one is about the Yemeni crisis, so the civil war in Yemen. You can see there's an introduction here, but then the rest of the paper includes headings to show readers the different sections. And in a lot of scholarly work, you will see headings, especially if it's a longer article or paper, that help the readers navigate the different sections of the paper. So it may be helpful to you to actually turn these into headings. So put them in bold, put them in all caps. You could use Roman numerals within your actual paper, but all bold and caps like this. And that can really help you stay organized in your paper. And then you can decide if you want to keep those in your paper or not. You may want to turn in a final paper with actual headings in it if you feel like that would be good for your reader. And that's especially good if you have a really complex, longer paper. So here we have defining it as a humanitarian crisis. So we've got some of the effects. Here we have a section for history and causes. Now, something else you'll notice about this paper is in this paper, the effects come first because the effects help this person to define that this is a humanitarian crisis, so that this is a big problem. And the writer of this paper thought that that would make sense first, and then delving into the causes second. So it's totally acceptable. In fact, it's a sign that you're writing maturely if a few of these are maybe switched around a little bit. For example, the counterclaim. It's pretty basic to always put the counterclaim right here, second to the end. In fact, the counterclaim should come wherever it makes most sense. So if, for example, somebody, some scholars disagree about the cause of the problem, you want to address that here in the cause section. And so your counterclaim may actually come here, or you may have some counterclaim here and then have some counterclaim on one of your effect paragraphs as well. So do what works best for your paper as far as how long each of these sections are, how much goes into each of them, and the order that they occur in as well. And then, of course, we have here on this example paper responding to the problem. So this is sort of their solution recommendation and how people who read this should respond. So advocating against the U.S. influence in fighting, right? So she's got notice she has 2 paragraphs on 2 different suggestions that she has that are related to each other. So the paper is still unified. And then, of course, there's this adds to the conclusion as well. Works cited page on the end. Now you'll notice this is only a 5-page paper. It was a different assignment for a different class, but it's still a similar type of problem solution type of essay. So this can still apply. I highly recommend that while you're drafting your paper, you draft it with headings in it. And then you can decide if you want to keep those headings, if it would really be beneficial to your paper, or if you want to delete them and just transition smoothly between sections in a way that makes sense. And again, work on one section at a time, and this can really help you sort of compartmentalize your work so that it's not, I have to write a gigantic paper. It's, okay, I'm going to write a couple paragraphs about the effects of this. Okay, now I'm going to write a couple paragraphs, a couple pages about why this is happening or the cause of the problem. So think of the paper as several sections that are smaller and much more manageable instead of just a big, gigantic, scary thing. Okay, I also want to point out to you that I've added to Classroom these questions to deepen research. And these will help you develop each section of the paper so that you're going into plenty of depth. This will also help you as you're continuing to do research, because remember, the annotated bibliography only contained 5 sources. 6 sources is the minimum for this paper, but most papers will need to contain more than 6. So it's sort of like bare minimum, but you'll probably almost definitely need more than 6 sources. So you are still doing research. As you are developing each of these sections, you may find, ooh, I don't have a lot of sources on causes yet. And so you want to search specifically for, like, causes of global warming, right? Or whatever your particular issue is. You may not have a lot on effects, or you may sort of only have one type of effect when you need more types of effects. So this can help you develop that section. Right? There's no section here for conclusion because you're not going to add new research in the conclusion for them almost always, right? And this is sort of to help you develop with more research, more ideas, so that each of these sections here, there's no counterclaim section on here either. But so that each of these sections is really thorough and really juicy and well developed. So that resource is available for you too, to help you develop each of those sections. So you have your checklist, you have your goals, you have a couple example papers to look at, one with headings and one without, so you can see how that might work or not. And again, I really recommend that you take from your outline either this general outline or, each of your key points here. You could take these and put those in a doc, and then start working on one of these first 3 sections first, and just make that your goal. First, I will talk about the causes of this problem, and sort of ignore the rest of the paper for now until you get that causes section in good shape, and then go to effects, right? Okay, so as always, email me if you have questions, and I'll look forward to seeing you in our next meeting. Bye.